Hello, my friends. Let me tell you a story. Ethan was a veteran sailor. He knew the sea like the back of his hand. He lived his life moving between ships, sailing in distant waters, facing storms, and always returning safely. But he was looking for more than just an ordinary trip. He was looking for adventure, for an opportunity that would change his life. In a coastal bar, while he was drinking his usual drink after a long day of work, his ears caught a conversation between the fishermen sitting near him. They were talking about a place full of rare fish, those fish that are sold at exorbitant prices in the world markets. One of the fishermen said in a low voice, "I saw the fish with my own eyes. A bright blue fish. I have never seen anything like it before. But they say that the place where the fish live is very dangerous. Most of those who went there did not return." The others laughed, but fear was clear in their eyes. Some said that the currents there were deadly, and others talked about pirates who appeared at night. But what caught Ethan's attention the most was someone saying, if someone could fish there and come back, they would be rich in one day. Ethan was not the type to be afraid of challenges. He saw this opportunity as a way to get rich quickly. He thought for a while, then made up his mind. He would go alone. He would not share his spoils with anyone. He prepared his small boat, took the food and water he needed, and set off into the unknown. At first, everything was perfect. The sea was calm, the weather was beautiful, and the sun was shining over the surface of the water as if welcoming him. Ethan was happy, feeling that he was on the verge of the greatest achievement in his life. After hours of sailing, he began to realize that he was approaching the area the fishermen had talked about. The sea there was different, deeper, and darker. But he did not care. All he cared about was fishing. He cast his nets and waited. Only a few minutes passed until he began to feel a strong pull. He lifted the net excitedly, and what he saw in front of him made him smile for the first time in years. When he saw the huge fish, blue and silver in colors, shining in the sun, he was extremely happy and repeated in a loud voice, "I did it," he said to himself as he pulled more and more. His nets were quickly filled, and he was carrying the fish to his boat as if they were bags of gold. He felt the ecstasy of victory. He could not believe that he had found this wealth in just one day. But he did not know that the sea does not give anything for free. While he was collecting his precious catch, he noticed that the winds began to intensify. He looked at the horizon and saw dark clouds gathering at an abnormal speed. The storm was approaching. He tried to move quickly to gather his things and get away, but it was too late. Suddenly, the storm hit the boat with all its force. The wind was raging as if it wanted to tear it off the surface of the sea. The waves rose and began to hit the boat like an angry beast. Ethan tried with all his might to control the boat. But suddenly, a giant wave came. He screamed at the top of his lungs, but his voice disappeared in the storm. The wave crashed into the boat, lifted it high, then turned it upside down. Ethan found himself floating in the middle of the dark sea, holding on to a piece of wood from his wrecked boat. No food, no water, no clear direction. He was alone in a vast world of deadly blue days past. The sun was burning him during the day, and the cold was killing him at night. He tried to stay alive by drinking rainwater and eating the raw fish he could catch with his hands. But as the days passed, his body began to collapse. He tried to swim, moving in any direction, hoping to find land, any land. But he soon realized that the currents were stronger than him, and that he was stuck in the middle of the ocean. Hallucinations began to haunt him. He saw rescue boats approaching, but whenever he screamed for them, they disappeared as if they had never existed. He saw land in front of him. He swam towards it with all his might, but it was just a mirage. One night he heard voices, familiar voices, the voices of fishermen and distant laughter. He looked around. There was no one. He started laughing out loud, then burst into tears. He realized that it was the end. On his last day, that night, he lay on the piece of wood that had saved him for days and looked at the star-filled sky. He mumbled incomprehensible words. Perhaps he was saying goodbye to the world, silently. He couldn't resist anymore. He closed his eyes and surrendered to the sea. A few days later, on a distant beach, some fishermen were preparing for a new day of work. Suddenly, one of them saw something floating near the sand. They approached cautiously, and when they reached it, and the painful surprise was, they froze in their places. Ethan was lying lifeless, his eyes open to the sea, as if he was still searching for his way back. The hunters stood in silence. End with this sentence: take care of yourself, and do not lead your life into the unknown. Every adventure carries fear, hope, and challenge. Here we tell stories that make you live them as if you were their hero. If you are looking for excitement and adventure, you are in the right place. I am honored to have you subscribe. Goodbye.